So here we are. We're back again, the duo of disaster. And we got a new one for you. It's about the 28 pages and it's 60 minutes edit clip. It's about 14 minutes. 28 pages is from the United States House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, also known as the Joint House Inquiry, which started in February of 2002 and ended with their final report in February of 2003. Darin, this actually was the first intelligence congressional investigation before the 9/11 Commission.
Right.
And this basically just concentrated on the domestic intelligence services, which is the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA, about pre-intelligence monitoring of certain individuals inside the United States that turned out to be the future 9/11 hijackers. What went wrong? Why did it go wrong? And basically, what this congressional inquiry did was basically publish a report which had a redacted end of its report, and it was called the infamous 28 pages. In fact, Brian McGlinchey, who I've interviewed, opened up a website called 28pages.gov, and basically he gave an intricate, detailed background about what these pages really entail, because they're still classified. They're not They're not declassified as of yet. And basically, the counter-terror document, later the Operation Encore files, basically alluded to the fact that it basically alludes to that the CIA was running an illegal operation inside the United States with Saudi intelligence monitoring and giving financial and logistical aid to these two individuals, Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, who later went on to hijack Flight 77. Now, we're not going to go off the rails and say, oh, the CIA and Saudi intelligence knew that they were going to hijack the plane and that's why they helped them. No, we're not saying that. What we want to say is that why they didn't tell the State Department or the Department of Justice about why they were here in the first place and why they were providing intelligence on these individuals and not sharing it with anybody else. So this 14-minute video from 60 Minutes really encapsulates the details about the 28 pages. Darin, this is going to be an important video for all the right reasons. And it's a lot because nobody really knows about the 28 pages.
No, they don't. And I'm glad you brought up the Canistero files, Adam, because again, the media still hasn't even mentioned this. This is all through. The only person I really see mentioned is a couple people, and you're definitely one of them. It's like I said, this is why we're here. Here we are today. We still have the people blaming no planes crashed in Pentagon, Shanksville, and all that stuff. But they never bring up the fact of these Canistero files and how important they are. I can't express how important they are.
Oh, it's invaluable.
Yeah, but exactly, and what people only take away from it, it seems, Adam, is like, oh, the CIA used them as assets, or Hazmi al-Mihdhar were CIA agents. That's what they take away from it, and that's totally not what the files are even mentioning or even depicting about that. So, it just this will clear it up, and like I said, these are the most important things to know about 9/11 because we can prove it. This is not speculation. This is not us put tinfoil hats on and just come some wild speculation. This is actual stuff that can be proven and is documented for us to see. So, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think before we hit play here, you bring up the important fact that we at least we could connect names to dates and also to incidents about what's going on. I always hear, you always hear it, Darin, all the time. The 9/11 truth movement always likes to, blame the government. Well, all right, here we go, right? Here
we have complicity. We do.
Yeah, exactly.
We have people that should be in prison. We have people that should be held accountable. And we have names to prove it, but still we want to believe in these fantasies about no planes. If you don't have no planes or no hijackers, these files mean absolutely nothing. And then all your evidence and all is gone.
Right, exactly right. So now, without further ado, here we are, and I'll basically put us in the corner over here so this way we don't block everything. And here we are. By former Secretary of State William Barr under the Trump administration, when Trump basically ran on the premise that he was going to help the 9/11 victims' families. And here you have the Secretary of State William Barr basically saying, we're not going to give them or the their law firms
Mhm.
like Creedler and Creedler any information regarding Saudi assistance inside the United States because matters of national security. So when this video was made 10 years prior to that, it still holds true, even just 3 years or 2 years ago, when you have William Barr basically saying we're not going. In other
Mhm.
words, this transcends left and right. I mean, this is basically a State Department issue helping out an ally and basically saying fuck you to the victims' families about holding Saudi government liable in the Southern District of New York regarding a civil suit case which is still active by
Mhm.
Motley Rice and Creedland, in suing the Saudi government for their logistical and financial support to actual hijackers who were known to be Al Qaeda operatives. I mean, Darin, it's a matter of more integrity here, but as you can see, they
Yeah.
have none.
Right, absolutely. And just to piggyback what you're saying, nothing about 9/11 should be not not
Mm,
declassified or classified. So yeah,
right.
so I'm saying that we should know everything that what's going on with 9/11. There's no reason to keep things hidden from the public. We're just researchers. We're just trying to find some
Mm.
truth. And just think about if you're one of the family members and that one of them passed away in that tragic day, and yet you still don't know the whole truth. And I just couldn't imagine what they go through
Oh,
um, on a daily basis, really. If it was your mother or father, your husband, your wife, your child, whatever it could be, is the U.S. government who's supposed to be there for you and to be their support system for you is not telling you the truth because they want to keep the interests of a foreign nation t- who's supposed to be our ally, but it's kind of the opposite.
yeah, you ever notice, Darren, that the allies of us, like Israel and Saudi Arabia, are basically almost enemies to the United States and the security services that we provide? I mean, nobody. I mean, the wars that we've done, and we're talking about the bigger picture here, geopolitics involving the Middle East conflicts that we've seen in the last 25 years, and it's always the same allies that are basically instigating these same conflicts, even to the current day. So you wonder who the government serves. Does it serve the interests of the people, or serves into the interests of their foreign coppers who are giving them millions of dollars? Ministerial document, which is what you alluded to
Correct.
before earlier, Darren,
Correct.
which is the reason why it's the biggest breakthrough in 9/11 history. I mean,
Sure.
it
Absolutely. 100%
basically,
agree.
yeah, exactly. And you know what it
100%
was
agree.
when I read it, and it was, of all the places I got it from, like Florida Bulldog in North Jersey.com, of all
Yeah. Yeah.
places,
And
you would think they'd be on it. And you
right.
alluded to it earlier. Nobody covered it. I was
No.
aghast. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. Yeah. I want to give a shout out to the Florida Bulldog and Dan
Oh,
Christensen over there. Those guys do phenomenal work regarding 9/11. They've been nothing but stellar work
mm,
regarding this Saudi Arabia and other events regarding with Operation Encore, the Chemtrail,
yep,
everything they covered. If you haven't had a chance to follow them and you're interested in 9/11, definitely give them a follow and just read some of the articles. They're free. You don't have to pay for it.
yeah.
They're free articles and it's all legit stuff. It's not this, like I said, it's not this tinfoil conspiracy
Mm.
stuff, made up stuff. This is actual legit information that you can learn for yourself and share with others. So yeah, absolute stellar work from Dan Christensen over there at the Florida Bulldog.
Glad you brought them up. I'll link them in the description too for this video.
Absolutely.
And actually, what 60 Minutes is actually referring to here is that Saudi government operatives, that people like Fahad al-Tameri and Omar
Yes.
al-Bayoumi and Osam Basnan, these are the people that were prominent in the 28 pages. But later on, through Operation Encore, which was a follow-up to the previous FBI investigation called Pent Bomb,
Hmm.
basically, some FBI agents were not satisfied with the official results of Pent Bomb, went on to make Operation Encore. What they found was illuminating. They found an individual working in Washington, D.C. named Muassad al-Jarrah, no relation
Yes.
to hijacker Ziad al-Jarrah, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, he worked as the Islamic Affairs Committee director, which basically he hires all these imams around the country to serve at mosques. And what this guy was doing, Darren, was basically
Mhm.
hiring Wahhabi-led imams like Fahad al-Dameri to spread the anti-Western message all throughout the United States. And this guy is basically in the heart of it all in Washington, D.C., and he's prominently redacted in the 28 pages and also in Operation Encore, except for one page. It's the only reason why we get to find out who he was. So this guy sends two emissaries,
Yes.
Adel al-Sadan and Muattab al-Saderi. Now, these two guys have no connection to the hijackers, but they're there to oversee people like Omar al-Bayoumi, Osama Basnan, and Fahad Tameri, who those three are given logistical and financial aid to who? Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, who later on hijacked Flight 77 that crashed into the Pentagon.
Yes.
You would think this right here would be a huge nexus within, say, the media or the 9/11 Truth Movement. No, but we have more. The CIA was running the operation, led by none other than DCI George Tenet and the director of operations, James Pavitt. Guess who names them both? The Canestraro document by freaking name, and nobody wants to give attention. And all those alt media types and 9/11 truthers who basically would love to blame the CIA, love to blame people. Here you have it. You fucking ignored it. And this is the reason why Darin and myself are pissed off, because now we have people that are basically holding back information intentionally, which led to the success of the attacks, and nobody wants to fucking cover it. Darin?
Yeah, you said it great there. I'll add a little bit to it. My frustration. First of all, Musab Al Jara, the forward bulldog, also had a great article on him. He also got in trouble for child pornography. So
That's
yeah,
right.
this guy is a model citizen. He's sending Wahhabism like imams over in the United States, and he got in trouble for child porn. So yeah, he's definitely a piece of shit. So we definitely cover that. But yeah, with Fahad al-Thameri, he's a huge guy, huge character to know. He had connections to the Millennium Plot bomber and Ahmed Rassam.
That's right.
If you're familiar with the Millennium Plot, I wrote an article with Nelson regarding the Millennium Plot and how extensive it was. It just wasn't a United States thing. It was a worldwide event happening. And like I said, all the characters from the Millennium Plot are all connected to 9/11 characters as well, to the USS Cole, to everything you can think of. They're all connected. And with Ahmed Rassam and Fahad Thameri had a connection, as Thameri had his phone number. And it's funny, the LAX was one of the main targets of the Millennium Plot. And where did El-Mihdhar and Al-Hazmi come out of? LAX around the same time. So yeah, there's a huge connection there. So just to piggyback what you're saying, all these truthers out here, I get to the point where we're 23 years in, and these assholes are still wondering what hit the fucking Pentagon. It's getting to the point where I'm just gonna go. I'm going off on these people. I used to try to be like, hey, whatever. Now I can't. It's getting to the point where it's just destroyed everything regarding 9/11.
Yes.
It's a freaking slap in the face to all the families and the victims who are suffering 23 years later. And we got people on the internet and all these so-called truthers talking about what we don't know what hit the Pentagon. We think it was stuff planted in the Pentagon, all this stuff. I'm so sick of it, Adam. We have all this evidence and information for the Canestraro files.
What do you want, right?
And most of these people, Adam, are anti-government, right? Most of these people, the reason why they don't believe, the reason why these people don't believe Flight 7 hit the Pentagon, because it's the government told us that, right? So anything that the government tells us about 9/11, it can't be true. That's their philosophy.
Bingo. Right.
If the government tells us Flight 93 crashed in Shanksville, it didn't happen. The phone calls from Todd Beamer and all, Mark Bingham, they're all fake. It's all fake. They're all crisis actors. Everyone from Verizon, everyone from Airphones, technology, everything, it's all fake because the government told us that. And that's the problem with 9/11. That's the biggest problem, Adam, that I've encountered, is that if anything the government puts out, it's got to be fake. Yes, and our government doesn't always have our best interests in mind.
No, right.
Hence, the 28 pages and not being declassified. But yeah, here we go. We can have names and we can hold them accountable. Yeah, Adam, 23 years later, we don't know what hit the Pentagon.
My God.
That's 9/11 in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's 9/11 in a nutshell. Before I hit play again, I couldn't have said it better here, Darin. But I also want to tell you that, when you came up with the idea of doing this, this breakdown series, I used to do pause and plays. And, the reason why we're doing videos like this is not that we're going to rip the government or rip 9/11 truth movement. We're trying to educate the audience responsibly about this terrible event and why it happened, why it was successful, and what came afterwards.
Sure.
this is the
sure.
reason why we're doing videos like this. We don't necessarily like, putting the 9/11 Truth Movement on blast, but they're not doing themselves any favors by propagating these stupid scenarios and theories when you have actual conspiracies like this, which are basically covered up by the insane. So with that, let's
Yeah,
play.
I think I came to the conclusion. No, I'm just saying, sorry.
Yeah,
I think I
no,
just
go
came to
ahead.
the conclusion that it's just two things for me, Adam, with the truth movement. It's either they're too far gone, or they're just too ignorant and they just want clicks and likes, and that's what I think. I think it's what's coming down to.
Oh no, you know what? I think you're right, but I
Yeah,
think it's a combination of all those too.
sure.
But
Yeah,
I'm naive, Darren. So don't believe. I'm 54, but I'm naive to think that these people, we can reach out to some of those people, and this is exactly
I
what we're
hope so.
doing,
I hope so.
right? We're
So that's a tough one, right?
right.
It's He's saying they're not sure if they knew what their mission was or what they were doing. I tend to say I would lean more 80-20. They did know, um, just because of through Mary's connection with Rassam, and others. Rassam, like the Millennium Plot was a huge event. It was such a huge event.
It was,
You,
yeah,
you talk about all the players that were involved with, and I hate to go a little a lot of research here, but like with Nabil El Marab and
yeah, yeah.
Basan Kanj and
The
Rahid
Boston cell,
Ajizi, the
yeah,
Boston
the
Cell,
Boston cell.
and going overseas, and it's just a little too much for me not to believe that they didn't
Mm.
know. So I'll say 80-20, Adam, where I'm at, just because I can't 100% prove. And
Right.
like I said, I'm not going by like this is what happened. I'm just trying to give you like a little background, like
Yeah.
other players involved, and it just seems like it's too much involved. Because Nabil Al Marab, he's a big time
Oh,
player that
he's
people don't know about, huge. And
huge.
Nelson really got me to
Mm.
really study him. A lot, just because of his connection being all over from Detroit, Chicago, Boston, this to Toronto with his uncle and the shop with Ada and Al Sher. He went there for for the photos for fake IDs. There's just too much there. So I'll say 80-20 that they knew.
Okay, let me hop on that too, and I'll piggyback off you a little bit here. I'm in the same camp, but I'm not as strong. I would say that they knew who they were. They knew they were Al Qaeda, and the only
Mhm.
reason why they knew that was because, according to the counter share document, ta-da, um, and if
Yeah.
so, an informant, an FBI informant who goes by LNU, last name unknown, right? So he heard a phone call between
Mhm.
Khalad Taufik bin Attash, who's currently in Guantanamo,
Yes.
right,
Yes.
and Fahad Al Damari. This call was made in
Mhm.
December of '99, and according to the informant, he said that the person on the other end of the line, Taufik bin Attash, told Fahad Al Damari to
With Mary.
expect two brothers from a meeting in Malaysia,
Okay.
and two brothers meaning Islamic brothers, not
Yes. Yeah.
maternal.
Yeah.
So they come to the United States, and they knew. And Fahad Al Damari's phone calls were actually monitored by the NSA, and that they had a whole bunch of calls that were collected by the Department of Justice between Omar Al Bayoumi and Fahad Al Damari, and it was something like 20 phone calls in that month. And they
Sure.
were direct. So, in other
Absolutely.
words, it seemed like what you said was true with that. Hey, they were expecting these guys. So Mary
Yes.
tells Omar Al Bayoumi, hey, listen, I need your help. We need these guys. We need housing and whatnot. And so on the day itself, January 5th, January 20, was it 20th? January 20th is
15.
when he met them, when
Yeah.
Omar Al
Okay.
Bayoumi met them.
20th.
So,
Yes. Right.
because they landed on the 15th.
15th. They land on the 15th, met
15th.
the 20th. Yeah.
All right. So they go and by the way, the 9/11 Commission states that they don't know where they were 2 weeks. Well, Fahad Al Damari rented a room to them in a condo
Yes.
townhouse. That's where he
Yes.
was. That was the beginning of the cover up between Saudi and the Department of State.
Yes.
But what
Correct.
happened after that was they went to the restaurant, but that the members of the rest of the people at the King Fahd Mosque, they told Khalid Al-Mihdhar and Nawaf Al-Hasbi about the restaurant. And they are the ones who also told Omar Al-Bayoumi that they were going to the restaurant. So no, I mean
Yeah.
you. So they knew.
Right.
So I'm with you. I think that they knew. Now, the only thing we are not going to say is that we know for sure. We look, we're hype, we're speculating, but with strong, which like when there's smoke, there's fire. We're not
Yes.
going to go out and say, hey, we know this for a fact. No, we don't. But
Right.
man, like Darin just said, there are way too many coincidences here to basically suggest that this is anything but a coincidental meet. I'm sorry, I'm not in that camp. I think they knew. The only thing I don't
Sure.
want to say is that they knew all the way what they were doing here. But I think they
Right. So
knew they
that's
were
where I'm at with
here
the 80.
to do something.
That's where I'm at with the 80-20, that
Right,
they knew the exact plot of 9/11.
right.
That it was actually, that's what they were planning on doing, hijacking
Yes.
the planes and doing that. That's where I'm with 80-20. I'll say 99% sure they knew that these guys were, like I said, they were coming here
Oh,
for
fuck you. Yeah, I'm with you
yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
with you
yeah.
there.
But with the actual 9/11 plot, exactly what they're doing, I'm thinking like 80, 85, 100 there,
I
like
think that's
around
fair.
there.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
fair. I think that's
Yeah.
fair. First of all, I love that it goes. I hate to do this, but the truth movement. Oh, the 9/11 Commission was in on it. Don't read the report. I mean, here you have sitting members of the 9/11 Commission basically saying, "Hey, we didn't get everything." Okay, when you
Yes.
hear about co-chair Thomas Kean basically saying it was set up to fail. Well, fuck yeah, it was set up to fail because the CEO of the 9/11 Commission, Philip Zelikow, was acting as the bullhorn of the Bush administration, who was personal friends and a law professor with Condoleezza Rice, basically are covering the fact that Saudi intelligence, as well as Israeli intelligence, were monitoring the hijackers here in the United States. Now, the thing is that whether they had specifics, and you'll hear me sometimes in videos say we're missing specifics. In other words, intimate details about time of when, where, and how. That's the only thing that's missing here, right? We have everything else. I mean, we have
Right.
everything else. We just don't have that. And the only people that would have that would be the very people who are monitoring the people here in the United States face to face. And that would be
Mhm.
Saudi intelligence, Israeli intelligence, and
Yes.
maybe the CIA. Maybe.
Yeah.
But remember,
Yes.
now, remember this is that I'm not going to go out on a limb. Darin just said it perfectly before, is that we're not going to go out on a limb and start blaming people because we hate them,
Right.
considering Israel, whatever, right? But I'm willing to say that, hey, wait a minute. These people basically were with the hijackers in the months and weeks prior to the attacks. What information did they collect? Maybe they didn't have anything. I don't believe that for a fucking second, because if you look at the Cheryl Shea memorandum, which I did a video playlist anyway, you'll notice that these people weren't just art students. These people worked in the military, worked in signals intelligence, worked with explosives. Hey, that's too much of a coincidence, just like we do with Saudi Arabia. But what we're trying to say is this, is that 9/11 Truth Movement, in order for them to go forward, is to basically grow up, get out of this fringe mindset, and start working on the conspiracies that we're providing here today, me and Darin, and in other videos that we've done before. That's the only thing we're saying. Darin, if you want to add, you go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. Yeah, so with the Israeli, they have Andocs there listening.
Oh, good one. Good one. Good one.
Exactly, Converse. You had the tapping of the phones. I'm pretty sure they knew what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
what they were doing. So, and like you said, you brought it up. A lot. These guys just weren't some Israelis that came over here just for fun. These guys were actually highly trained
Mm-hmm.
operatives. These guys were explosive experts. These guys, every single one probably has some kind of specialty and a mission to come here. Over 200. It wasn't just like this was a huge ring, and these guys were all over from Jersey to Florida, New York. They were everywhere. Here on the East Coast, and you got the West Coast going out there with the Saudis and the
Right.
CIA, and it was a huge operation. And I think this is where the conspiracies come from, because it's unfortunately it's just like, oh, they allowed it to happen, and the
Mm.
government knew and Bush knew and all this stuff. It's like I can never go that far because it's just no proof for it.
Right.
But these foreign countries that were involved in spying, they definitely had some. They were with, like you said, they were with the hijackers. They were living next to them. They were
Mm.
following them. They had to know something was going on before it happened. So yeah, absolutely. There's, like you said, I want to keep rambling on here, but there's definitely like I said, a lot of coincidences are going on here regarding these foreign governments or foreign countries in the United States with 9/11 hijackers.
Again, our allies working in tandem, giving us all the information that we need, but we deported everybody. We didn't get shit. what Tim Rome was saying was an understatement, by the way, right? Because he says, "Oh, let the Saudi government wants the release of it," but they know that the State Department's not going to, right?
Right.
Because once they do that, that's the end of the relationship, right? That's the end. And by the way, as for that, price per barrel of oil, that's going to skyrocket on your end, and then you're fucked. All those
Right.
military contracts that we give to Saudi Arabia and Riyadh, all the weapons that we give. Well, by the way, they're not going to be out. We're not going to be exporting weapons. And by the way, who buys more weapons from the United States more than any country on earth? Saudi Arabia. All right.
Arabia.
So there's a lot at stake. There's billions of dollars at stake. Saudi Arabia knows that the State Department is not going to release these files because it's not just going to hurt Saudi Arabia. Who's it going to hurt? The CIA. Okay. The NSA. And these agencies that basically work for the United States on behalf. So they know they're not going to release everything, Darin. They would have done it already. But
Absolutely.
they're not going to.
No, not at all. It's a shame, too, because just to go back earlier, talking about how the victims and the families it's almost like, Adam, I don't think they're ever going to get closure. It's just a shame the government won't put their people first. It was a tragic day, the worst in American history, where the United States was attacked on their own soil. People burning alive, jumping off the Trade Center just to either get burned alive or, fall to your death. It's sad. I can't imagine if one of my loved ones died at 9/11, because I would feel like I would got no closure at all. And I want to give a lot of shout out to the Jersey girls who actually at least got the 9/11 Commission report. Even though I know a lot of them don't agree with it, or I would say this: the 9/11 Commission report it's incomplete. It has missing holes. It's not false. It's not some kind of cover up because they're in on it, like you said. There's missing holes to it, and it's because, like I said, you got Selokal, who has his orders from the higher ups to protect Saudi interests, and that's always going to be the case. Money and interest from the Saudis is going to trump the American people. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. That's how it is.
Think, and the reason why we'll do things like this, videos like this, is basically, we're not going to give up. And, to do that would basically say, well, they won, right? They won. Well, I'm not in that field. And, for the little contributions that I make, and Darin, you're in the same field, the little contributions that we make here, I have, I'm naive to believe that we can make a change, but we need enough people to be on the same page and give interest. And if you want to have another I had the Tribune basically saying we need another investigation. Okay, show me how. Who are you going to persuade? You already don't believe the U.S. government. You don't believe the intelligence services. Who the fuck are you going to get? William Webster Tarpley and Alex Jones? I'm sorry, that's not going to work. What you need to do is basically get enough reputable voices and get the interests of some people within the government that basically say, hey, wait a minute, we got more questions than answers, and we need those answers fulfilled because now we got more information with Operation Encore, Counter document. Hey, we can answer some of those questions. And now we can hold people's feet to the fire. But like you said, Darin, we need the interests of the people. And this is the reason why videos like this with you and this idea of yours about doing a collab session, I think is so invaluable. And I'm glad to do it with you. And
absolutely.
And you know what? We'll keep doing this every 2 weeks. No matter what. And by the way, that's the end of the video. We like to keep it under an hour just so that we don't go over an hour and lose the interest of the people. Listen, Darin, any final thoughts? What you got?
No, man, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for doing this. I know we had a little bit of delay there due to some unforeseen occurrences, but yeah, we'll do every 2 weeks. If you guys got any requests or anything you want us to talk about, we'll do that for you guys. Sure. We appreciate the people who listen and take the time to hit a like button and just give us some feedback. We really appreciate it. Yeah, everyone can make a difference for sure. And this, we got to get people steered away from these fantasies about no planes and no hijackers, because all it does is it just hurts. It hurts any type of movement. It hurts any type of progress or positivity. It really does. Because after 23 years, if you can't decipher what hit the Pentagon or Shanksville, the Twin Towers, you're lost. You're just I'm sorry. You've had plenty of time to come to your senses, and if you haven't figured out yet, I just I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you then. Right. I mean, I think that, Yeah, exactly. Listen, you know, if you want conspiracy, there's plenty of it, and this was just one video which shows that there is
Sure.
conspiracy. But we need, clearer heads and rational
Rational,
heads.
rational, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. All right,
Mhm.
Darin. Listen, have a good weekend, guys. Thanks for
You too,
watching.
bud.
Attention. We'll see you in 2 weeks again.